Welcome to the Below the Surface podcast, year-end edition. I'm your host, Gunnar, and my co-host, James Hammond, is here as well. How are you doing, James?
I'm very good, thanks.
Are you in your four-wheel studio again?
I am in my four-wheel studio.
It's the end of the year. We are shutting down over Christmas very soon.
Yep, almost there.
I would like to say thank you to all the people who came up to us in various Christmas parties and said how much they enjoy listening to us. You don't know how much that helps us and how much we appreciate that. It makes us feel good, and it makes it worth the effort that we put into this.
Yeah, it was really nice. It's really nice to hear that people are, at number one, listening at all, and number two, that generally people enjoy it.
Yes. So I did a mini survey and I asked people, hey, would you like to have more banter? Is the banter too much? How do you have that? Because I never know when we ramble on here. It's like, I don't know if people are interested in this at all.
Yeah, it's amusing to us. Who knows if it's amusing to anybody else?
That's right. Because I'm pathetic when I listen to podcasts. My podcast app allows me to start a podcast from X seconds in or X minutes in, and I know the podcast that I listen to and that I like when their ad blocks are. So I don't want to hear the intro. It's like, give me a break. That's not what I'm here for. So I was hesitant doing my banter with you, but the feedback was almost unanimous. Sorry, Andrew. Equal amounts of banter, if not more. So
if not happened. More. Wow. Okay. We got it. We can do that. We can bring it.
No, seriously, this was good. I so enjoyed it, and I love it when we get feedback.
Yeah, I thought with us going into the holiday break, we won't be releasing any episodes, and I thought maybe some people out there might want some suggestions, I guess, for other pods, and I thought we could maybe rattle off a handful of ones that we like to listen to. I don't know if yours are going to be a bit niche, Gunnar, and sort of all clustered around a similar thing, or because, we've got end of year wrap-ups and stuff that come out on Spotify and all this sort of thing, and for music and pods and stuff. So I thought, maybe you could just take us through like what your favorite pods are and what you've been listening to most.
Yeah, that's extremely easy because, again, my podcast app, I use Pocket Casts, just sent me a year-end summary with everything you want to know. And here are the top 5 podcasts I listen to. Get this. I listened last year, so in 2025, I listened to 35,600 minutes. So that's almost 25 days worth of podcasts.
Wow.
I look at this and think that can almost not be true, but stats.
The data doesn't lie.
Generally don't lie. 24 full days of, hey, what can I say? What do I listen to? The number one is quite a margin. The number one is a podcast called The Tennis Podcast. I am a tennis fan. I'm a tragic. This is a really nice British podcast where they go into details. And they during the Grand Slams, they release a 1 to 1.5 hour episode every day.
Yeah, right.
So there's already every. So this is how I get my 24 days up easy because a Grand Slam is 2 weeks long, so that's already 14 hours of listening at least, if not 20 times 4 a year. There you go. So that's how I get my hours up. So that's number 1, tennis podcast. Number 2, the Uncomfortable Conversations with Josh Seps. Definitely, clearly one of my favorites.
Haven't heard of that one.
He's a former ABC. It goes back. He was with for a long HuffPost Live. He's been around, and then he came back to Australia in 2016. He started his career over here. Went to the ABC, had some morning shows, and then left the ABC and is now doing Uncomfortable Conversations. Truly fantastic. That I cannot now. I can understand if you're not listening to the tennis podcast. I get that.
Yeah,
Josh Seps, I cannot recommend highly enough.
Interesting.
Number 3, another tennis one. Andy Roddick has a podcast called Served. I listened to that one as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, the Michael Shermer Show. Michael Shermer is an interesting guy. He is the founder and editor of the Skeptic magazine in the United States. He's been on Oprah. He's been on God knows where. His real claim to fame is that he's given 3 TED Talks. And number 5, please don't send me any hate mail. Joe Rogan is number 5. But I have to say, right? Well,
Gunnar. We've only got one email address, mate. I'm going to get bombarded too.
But in my defense here, if you've ever listened to Joe Rogan, you don't have to listen to many because they are so long. They're 3.5 hours long each, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to listen to many of them to clock up a serious amount here. Right?
That's the fair defense, I think. That's a fair defense. But you know what's interesting about that? So I'm not a Joe Rogan guy. I don't really listen to his stuff. I kind of know what his reputation is. But what I would say is like he has quite a diversity of guests, and so I could see that probably not every episode is for everyone, but there's probably some interviews that are that would be of interest. And it's funny, I was talking to somebody when we were getting out and about to events, end of year events. I was talking to somebody about this kind of point about podcast guests, where I got asked the question, like, not that any of our guests are this, but like just kind of hypothetically, it's like, what if you were to have somebody on the podcast who wasn't somebody may claim it wasn't a good person or was kind of a controversial person?
Well, you have me on for starters.
Other than you, Gunnar.
Okay.
And it got me thinking, and I was like, because the question was put to me, like, would you kind of not have somebody on because they were a controversial person? And my answer to that was, I wouldn't. I would still want to talk to that person, if only to understand where they're coming from. It doesn't mean that I have to accept what they say or agree with what they say. But I think that we're very quick. This is me getting on my soapbox now. I think we're very quick to dismiss each other and to not hear each other out, and just to, judge people based on who we think they are, rather than their ideas and what they have to say.
It's one
sometimes.
Of my major bugbears is that nuance has gone out the window these days.
Nuance is out the window. Yeah, exactly. And it's like Joe Rogan, as an example. It's like you may not agree with everything he says, but does that mean that nothing that he says has any value?
See, he releases, I don't know, 1 or 2 a week, right? So 3 hours each. You can't possibly listen to all of them. So I very, very selectively listen in.
Yeah.
But when he interviews Trump 3 weeks before the election, I need to listen. Not that I can vote, but that interests me. It drives me absolutely nuts when he doesn't ask any hardball questions at all. This is crazy. Same with Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk has been on 5, 6, 7 times by now, and he used to be this. He was just such a fantastic guest, and then he goes off on the deep end. I think his microdosing of drugs has gone out of his dosing, I think. But when he interviews Elon Musk, I listen in.
Yeah.
And boy, do I not agree with the majority of what he says, but I need to listen to what he says, and it's painful sometimes.
Yes, I think the minute communication shuts down completely, it's trouble. It's a bad thing. I think we need to be open to listening to other people with opposing views. You should have an open mind and at least be willing to have some conversation. Otherwise, we just end up putting our walls up and living in our echo chambers, right? Which is never a good thing.
Now, I remember the one that got me interested in Joe Rogan was when he interviewed this many years ago now, when he interviewed Lance Armstrong. And I tell you what, it's 2.5 hours of Joe Rogan, an athlete, talking to another athlete, and everything you and I know about Lance Armstrong, I can guarantee you was wrong. You listen to that; it's fascinating. Fascinating interview. It was fantastic. It's many years ago. So I pick my guests there, or when he has on, people who are deep inside the AI development. This is just phenomenally interesting conversations. Anyway, I'm not justifying who I want to listen to. Because...
No, sorry, we're on a tangent already. This is. I mean, hey, people said more banter, right? So.
Not sure if they wanted all that. What do you
True.
listen? What do you listen to anyway?
So I looked at your stats and I was like, man, that's pretty impressive. I'm
I'm not
an
sure if impressive is the word here.
so I'm an iPhone guy, right? And I don't know why, but Apple Podcast doesn't give us a nice summary like yours does. Just a rough estimate. I did a quick back of the envelope, right? I reckon I listen to 15 to 18 hours of podcasts a week. So I'm sitting somewhere between 750 to 1,000 hours of podcasts a year.
It's a lot.
It is a lot, but I imagine you're probably the same, Gunnar. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts while I'm doing other things, whether it's driving or cleaning or I don't know, like sort of activities that don't require a huge amount of brain function. I'm generally listening to a podcast at the same time.
That's it. That's the beauty of that medium. You can consume it while you're doing something else. When I'm cooking, driving automatically. It's like
walking the dog when my twins were younger and they couldn't talk or anything. When I was, you take them out in the pram for a nap or something, always listening to podcasts. Yeah, so I use it like I listen to them like that. But yeah, so my recommendations, and there's good back catalogs if anyone's interested. So my number one is a podcast called The Imperfects. I don't know if you've heard about The Imperfects.
Never heard of it.
It's a guy named Hugh Van Cuylenberg and his brother and a guy named Ryan Shelton, who's in with kind of Hamish and Andy, that sort of crew. Essentially it's about mental health, really, and they speak to a whole range of different people and guests and athletes and actors and just about various kind of mental health topics. And it's just a lot about people's lives and experiences, and it's great. Like, it's hard to explain. It's just really, really interesting, and they get some great guests on there. So that's number two for me, is one called Two Broke Watch Snobs. I'm a little bit into watches, I would say.
Really? How long have I known you? I mean, it's 2019, and you are into watches.
I'm definitely a watch guy. I've got a pretty plain fashion sense. I like to focus on having a nice watch. That's kind of my thing. What I find very interesting about this interest that I have, right, is that I'm probably one of the worst people for having an awareness of time, and yet I'm obsessed with watches. So I don't know how that would make sense.
Well, okay, I can get that, because if all you want is time, do what I do. Don't have a watch, have a phone with you, which you have anyway, and it gives you the time.
No, well, I often feel like I have no concept of time. Like, I'm generally late to stuff.
Don't I know it?
So
what do they talk about? How can you talk about watches?
Well, that's what my wife said. She's like, how can they, and they've got like 200 and something episodes, how can they talk for an hour an episode about what? There's plenty to talk about, trust me. So that's a good one. Next one, Democracy Sausage, which is a politics related podcast, Australian politics. You know what a democracy sausage is, don't you, Gunnar?
Nope.
So it's an institution, an Aussie institution. Whenever you go to vote on election day, there's always a sausage sizzle set up.
Okay.
Where, you got to get it's called a democracy sausage. You vote and then you grab a snag on the way out.
Okay.
So that's a good one. It's out of the ANU, that one. Number 4, another super random one. It's called The Rights to Ricky Sanchez, which sounds really weird. What it's about the Philadelphia 76ers NBA basketball team.
Oh my God.
So this is a good one. It's two like hardcore fans. It's been running for about 10 years. It's just great. They do a couple of episodes a week during the season.
How can you be an American basketball fan?
It's the only sport I watch regularly. Is the
really?
NBA.
How tall are you?
6 foot on a good day.
That depends on the size of your foot. Give it to me in a decent metric here, please.
178 on a good day.
And you play, and you're interested in basketball.
Yeah, it doesn't, not all about height. There's some of the. Hey, Allen Iverson was only 6 foot, and he was one of the greatest players of the early 2000s.
Yeah, sure. You're talking about a two standard deviation outlier here. Yeah, let's take them as a rule. Yeah, good one.
That's it. And the last one I'm going to mention here, and this is not just for blokes. This is a really good one, but despite the name, it's called The Art of Manliness. The way I would describe this in the short way is that it is the antidote to toxic masculinity. It's all about balance and broad skill sets and having an open mind and becoming a well-rounded man in the modern world. That's what it's all about. So,
co-hosted by Andrew Tate?
God, no. No, 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 no. It is so far away from that sort of stuff. Now, I hope my boys, I hope that they listen to this kind of stuff growing up and not the other stuff. Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, give them Joe Rogan for starters.
Oh, I don't know
Sorry,
about that, mate.
oh man, I'm gonna be in. So I don't know if I'm gonna cut this up, but
there might not be a season 3 if we keep going like this.
I may get cancelled.
That's it. Well, there you go. So between the two of us, there's some good suggestions there for anyone who might want to listen to some other stuff over the break.
I'll put all this in the show notes. No problem.
So we talked enough. It's enough about other pods. We got to talk about ourselves. How you got a few stats here about how we performed this year?
I dug up a few stats. So
yeah.
So this year we released 14 episodes, which I tell you what, it certainly feels like like we've done more than that, but it was 14.
Yeah.
Doesn't help when I'm gone for an entire month and we stop 2 weeks beforehand and 4 weeks after.
I missed a bunch and I was all over the place the first half of this year. Yeah, 14, that's a bit of a shortened season for us.
The most popular ones, there's 3 that stand out. So the first one clearly is the PFAS health advice.
Mm-hmm.
Even I have listened to that 2 more times after it's been released. So when I was out with my dog, walking my dog, I actually listened to that, and it's certainly one of my all-time favorites. The next one was Linda Apthorpe with the new 5370 standard for asbestos in soil analysis.
Yeah.
Very, very popular. And then, of course, Tony Chappell, the CEO of the New South Wales EPA. So these are the 3 standout ones. And we have the biggest download month was May, just over 600 downloads in that month.
Yeah.
And we are about to hit 10,000 overall downloads.
That's great.
So 10,000 is a fair bit. And I always look at it this way because you think, 300 downloads per episode is like, oh my God, really? We're hardly Joe Rogan material here. But ultimately, if you look at it, 200 or 300 people, that's a big lecture room. Right?
Yeah, that's how I like to compare it to. I think if you think about events and that sort of thing, if you have an event that you run and 200 or 300 people turn up and listen, like that's a good turnout. Yeah. That's the way I see it. Yeah.
Yes. Very proud of what we've done. And
for sure. Me too.
These are the stats. I've written a couple of other things down because we haven't done any banter for a long time. So here's...
Well, we haven't done any housekeeping type stuff for a while, have we? Nope. So there's a few things that have stacked up.
One thing that Sandgate has come and gone, has blown over, pun intended. We didn't speak about it. We didn't feel like we needed to. Also, we had other things to do. I don't know. Is there anything we need to say about it or not? It's
not really. I don't think. I mean, look, it's been discussed a fair bit. At least on LinkedIn and other places. Like, I don't have too much to say about it, to be honest. I kind of had other things going on during those few weeks. I mean, other than to say that I had some of the sand at home and donated it for testing.
Yes.
And my kids have played with kinetic sand, like with that brand, for a number of years and stuff. I mean, look, I don't really know what to say about it. I mean, look, it shouldn't be there.
Well, we can all agree on that. It shouldn't be there. I don't know. There wasn't, other than to shut down an entire school because in one of the rooms or in 2 they used kinetic sand. That seems like an overkill to me.
Well, I think one of the key things, I remember we were talking about it one day, and one of the things you mentioned, which was a very good point, which is that there's a lot of people who are jumping on it onto LinkedIn, sharing like microscope images and all this of the fibers being found or the bundles being found in this sand, right? And that was all interesting and relevant, but I never saw anyone talk about any kind of investigation into the emission of fibers from this material using air monitoring or any kind of like experimentation around agitating the material and then looking at what actually comes out into air. As we know, that is really the critical thing. And I think that was a very good point you made in that, no, I don't think anyone did that work.
Yeah, it's the only thing that matters, right? And so there's asbestos fibers in that sand. So boo-hoo, let's find out if they are airborne. That's what we need to know.
Exactly. And if someone has done that work, perhaps we just haven't seen it yet. But yeah, it certainly hasn't been put out there to date from what I've seen. But I don't really have too much more to say about that one.
While we're at asbestos, now that the new standard 5370 that we spoke about to Linda Apthorpe has actually filtered through the labs. So when you send soil samples to the lab for asbestos in soil analysis, I see the results coming in from this new standard, and it sucks. That new standard is way worse than what we had before with 6490, for whatever it was. Gosh, I can already see there has to be a follow-up, definitely one or two follow-up episodes, because the new standard takes away the trace analysis, which is the analysis of that analysis allowed you to look at, are there any respirable fibers at least present? You can't tell whether they're going to be released, but whether they are in fact present, and that is gone. So that granularity has gone out of the analysis there, and it is such an important part that a consultant should look at. That is, in my opinion, definitely a step back. Look, watch this space. There will be more about this, because that is not good.
It needs a deep dive. I think on that one, I'm still trying to get my head around the change.
Yeah.
But people would have seen probably different changes in the way that data is presented in lab reports as they move to that standard or have moved.
Then we have I got a question for you. So as of beginning of, was it November or December? There's a new law in Australia that every electric vehicle that gets sold must make a noise when driving slower than 20 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
It's obvious because people are not used to quiet cars approaching them, and so the reaction was, hey, let's have them make a noise driving forward and backwards. Well, what do you think about that?
Sounds good. Pun intended.
Good one. Well done.
Well, I don't think it didn't really need it going backwards, because I mean, I've always said Teslas sound like a UFO when they're reversing. For whatever reason, it makes a noise already when it goes backwards. But yeah, it's weird. I mean, like, I kind of understand it, I guess, and I don't know. I guess it makes sense. What do you think about this?
Because our society needs more noise. That's my first take. We haven't got, it's not loud enough around here. Our cities, boy, do we need more noise. That's my first thought on this, right? Now I know where it comes from. Of course, when you are, and I notice it when I drive in an EV, I notice it that you must be very much aware of it, that you're quiet when you drive very, very slowly. So when I go through a car park, I notice that people don't hear me. So what do? I slow down and make sure that I don't run them over. Okay. It is clearly something that everybody, drivers and pedestrians, need to get used to.
Yeah.
I just don't think that making more noise is the solution to it. It's so easy to say, every EV needs to make a noise. But it's good if you are hearing impaired, or if you're vision impaired, or yes, I understand that helps.
Yeah.
I can give you many examples of where this is disadvantageous. For example, if I come home late at night and I drive into my driveway, I of course drive with less than 20 Ks, so my car will make a noise. Yeah. And according to the law, I can't even turn that noise off. Yeah, now I wake up my neighbor. Completely unnecessary. Absolutely not necessary. That's just one of the things. On top of it, right? We add the overall noise pollution is already terrible in our cities. Can you imagine you go through a Westfield and every car now makes that UFO sound or whatever sound they make?
Yeah, because the UFO sounds a bit irritating. I don't know, personally.
I agree with you. So, is that the best solution we could come up with? That's my question that I have. I give you.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
But I have a solution. It's 2025, almost 2026. How about this? Instead of making every EV compulsory to make a sound, which affects everybody, not just the ones that benefit from it, how about you you find a technical solution to this? You make every EV emit a certain signal quietly, right? And whoever wants it, not compulsory, but whoever wants it or needs it, has a receiver on their glasses in their pocket, and that receiver either beeps or it knocks on your wrist like your Apple Watch, or it vibrates or does something else. That would be a clever solution, right? Because now only the people who need it are going to be affected, and not everybody. That would be a solution.
I think it sounds very reasonable, and I'm with you in principle that like part of the appeal of an EV is that it doesn't have an exhaust and that it doesn't make noise. That's actually two appealing things about it. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Why are we adding noise to something when that is one of the best features of this technology?
And it's also such a bullshit solution that had no thought put into it.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, it's just one of those things where I thought it's just not thought through.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? Well, we were talking about this the other day. So what's your count of new EVs that are on the roads? Because of our episode.
We are at 11 right now. So we have 11 new electric vehicles on Sydney's roads as a result of our podcast with Paul Mills.
Well, I will happily add to the total at some point. I'm not on the market right now, but at some point in the near future, I'd like to be. So I will add to that total. And if anyone who's listening has done the same,
let us know. That's the 11 that we know of. That's right. It's I have a couple of funny stories there. One of the listeners called his accountant and said, "Hey, is this legit?" So they passed on our podcast, and is this FBT stuff legit? And the guy didn't know about it, and he said, "Well, let me listen to this." So they both ended up buying an EV. So the accountant and the listener both bought one.
Oh wow! And hey, Gunnar, we're broadening our audience. We've got the Enviro audience, and now we're getting accountants and all sorts of people.
Another accountant answered to a listener, and they said, "Hey, again, is this worth it?" And this is, "Hey, have you had a look at our car park? It's full of EVs. The moment this law came out, we all bought EVs. So it's
great. That's a great thing.
Yeah, it is. Okay, definitely. What else have we got here?
Well, couple more things. Yeah, so some more housekeeping type things. Most people would have seen that there's some changes happening at the EPA at the moment, and I don't have anything really to say about it other than to say that it's always challenging for people who are in the regulated community, but it's always also sad to see our colleagues who work at regulators being impacted by job cuts. So the EPA is losing about 7.5% of its workforce, apparently mostly what they would call middle management, I suppose, so unit head level people. Which is a real shame for a number of reasons, in that they're going to be losing good people will be losing their jobs, and also that it probably creates some challenges for people like us and also people who have licensed sites and that sort of thing to work with the organization, which is already pretty stretched.
I read the email that you put in our show notes here where it says key features of the new operating model include strengthening the frontline and regulatory and compliance capability, integrating the policy and program areas whilst recognizing the increasing role of product stewardship and enabling deeper engagement of industry, community, and local government. I can't even read this without laughing because this is such a bullshit sentence. It doesn't say anything.
Well, I mean, I've been in government during multiple restructures. So yeah, there's a bit of you can read between the lines of some of that. I mean, the integrating of policy and program, all that means is that people are being shed from those places and less people are being asked to do essentially the same amount of work. It is tough. I don't know that I necessarily buy the line that an organization can do more with less.
That's another one of those. Yeah, right. Yeah, surely.
Obviously there are going to be there would need to be some reprioritization. I like the point around more frontline engagement. I think that is a good thing if they can achieve that. But yeah, look, I think just bottom line is the organization's already busy. It's a shame that this has had to happen because of budgetary reasons within New South Wales. But yeah, look, it is what it is. We feel for anyone who's lost their job. Come into the consulting world if you have. Come to
if you're an ex-union, unit head at the EPA, I don't think you will have a problem finding a job.
I think you can definitely leverage that experience into something else. So yeah, hopefully everybody lands on their feet, whoever's been affected, and hopefully we don't have any major drops in assessment times.
Yeah, for sure.
So keep an eye on that one. More EPA news.
Before you go, hang on.
A lot of
Let me
people would
let
have
me
seen.
interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
Because do, are you watching Utopia at all? That's that TV.
I've already watched all of it. Yeah.
Do you remember when? Oh gosh, the lady, the one, Rob Sitch and Rob Sitch's character,
Yes.
and the lady, I think it's his office manager, whoever he is. There's two people in there who
Oh
are
yeah.
who
Yep.
are reasonable, and all the others. So when
Oh yeah.
the lady does a performance review of someone, right? And there's an entire episode about, she asks, "So how did you?" And he says, "Oh yeah, well I identified, strategized, and solved issues in the workplace." And she said, "Okay, well, a bit more specific." And he continuously says these, "Okay, yeah, well, specifically, I don't know, I contributed to the functionality and efficiency in the workplace." And all this, he goes on and on and on. And when I read this EPA announcement, I immediately thought, you know what, that was either, is this from The Onion? Is this from one of the screenwriters at Utopia? Or what is going on here?
That's why I struggled to watch Utopia when I worked in the Commonwealth, because it hit a little bit too close to home.
Yeah.
But that's a great show. Anyone who hasn't seen it, who has any interest in a bit of satire of the public service, check it out. It's very,
By the
very
way,
funny.
budget cuts, dear EPA, I have a solution for you. I can solve your budget problems in no time. Okay, James, how much is the waste levy every year, roughly?
These figures might be old actually, but it's last time I checked, it was around about $800 million of revenue.
What's the EPA's budget, roughly?
Oh, I think it's like 150 or 180 million, somewhere in that vicinity. And they receive currently about 10% or 10 or 15%, I think, of the waste. I'm going to fact check those numbers, but last time I checked that.
I only look at the waste classifications that James K. and I wrote in the last year. Just those. Yeah. The waste levy of those could easily fund the EPA for years. Okay, you don't need any job cuts. You don't budgetary reasons. Bullshit, guys. Just grab the money that you generate, or a fraction of it. There is your budget. I solved that for you. You're welcome.
So Gunnar, you're saying that all the effort we go to divert stuff from landfill and use RROs, we should just abandon that, and we should flood the EPA with money by just pumping. We'll pump stuff into landfill through
Well, here we go. I even go one step further. Just the waste classifications that James K. and I wrote that shouldn't really have ended up in a landfill, that would hands down fund all of this. So whenever I hear that someone in public service says, "Oh, there's no budget cuts and all this," guys, it's not a question of the money availability. It's just the redistribution is required here.
Well, yeah, that's it. And I think most people would know this, but the waste levy goes into consolidated revenue for New South Wales.
That's code for it disappears in the sump. That's what that is.
A little bit goes to the EPA to fund programs and to support, like the broader organizational budget. But it's kind of a crazy thing that, the majority of the waste levy actually doesn't go back to addressing waste reduction or supporting the EPA. But anyway, that's probably something for another day. We can go deep.
So much for keeping that for 15 minutes. Keep going.
That's it. Okay, so a couple more things. So the new acid sulfate soil resource recovery order is out, if anyone who hasn't seen it. So it's a general resource recovery order, which requires a bit of time to go through it, but that is a good one and good work by the EPA to get that across the line and out. My understanding is that, the resource recovery framework review and all that work, it's kind of stalled a little bit this year, but my understanding is that we'll start to see some real activity around resource recovery orders in the first, if not the first quarter, then the first half of next year. So keep an eye on all that. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that, well, two things. There's been changes in New South Wales legislation. There was a reform package that went through, and we'll probably try and get Sarah Mansfield on in the new year to go through all that, because there's quite a range of changes. And the other big thing is that the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act, which is our national environmental law, has been reformed. It's quite a big deal that this has gone through. It's off the back of something called the Samuel Review, which was done 5 or 6 years ago, if not a bit longer. And it recommended a whole suite of changes to the EPBC Act to kind of modernise it and that sort of thing, because it was 1999 that it was developed. So that was a pretty big deal. And there was a bunch of changes that come from that, again, that we'll probably get a guest on next year and talk through. But one really interesting thing is that it will create a national EPA.
Yeah,
as well.
Rumors about that. Yeah,
So we've got the Commonwealth Environment Department, which currently handles policy and compliance and implementation, right? But yeah, this will create a national EPA, which will be responsible solely for compliance and upholding the environmental standards that are set, and post-approval compliance for those Commonwealth approvals. So very interesting to see how that all plays out.
I'm glad you find that interesting. Good. Okay.
I do. So I'll drag you into an episode next year, Gunnar, where we'll talk to somebody about that. So yeah, we should probably leave it there. There's probably enough housekeeping for this episode, but yeah, there's been a lot happening. A lot of stuff's been squeezed into these last few months of the year.
So everybody hang in there at short before Christmas on our social medias. We won't release it as a separate episode, but I have put a 5-minute very best of together, and we'll release that on our LinkedIn or whatever do we do social.
Yeah, we'll put it up on LinkedIn as a bit of fun there. Yeah,
we'll also add it to the very end of this episode. It's just a few minutes long, so don't leave too early and make sure you listen to the very end.
We're going to be back in January, late January next year.
It's going to be a good one. Yeah. Merry Christmas. Talk to you next year.
Happy holidays, everybody. See you next year.
I have my co-host here, James Hammond. How are you going?
Good. This is good. I feel like we're getting warmed up. This is good.
The underlying problem is that somebody thought it was a smart idea to entrench a scientific paper, which the NEPM basically is, into a static law. That is just unbelievable nonsense.
People forget that environmental law is considered to be criminal law, and yet I can't think of another area where you're kind of guilty until proven innocent.
The office is critical of the zero tolerance approach, and it considers that asbestos risk is not adequately captured by the concept of zero tolerance. Yeah, really? No shit. This is nonsense that needs to go. Every time I sign a waste classification report and it's not classified as asbestos waste, I'm breaking the law. That's just not right. Yeah, that is not right.
There's the potential to simply get discussion around how you didn't meet the guideline, as distinct from talking about a technical solution on a problem. If you had any personality before you started auditing, you'd have none by the time we finish.
Is this part of the podcast or not?
We're expected to work with legislation all the time, but we're not lawyers.
No wiggles, no Teletubbies, sing, no problem. That's the standard I hold my household to.
That's fair.
And I think it was Gunnar who said in another podcast episode that it's an example of an environmental law that's impossible to comply with. That is a very beautiful turn of phrase, and it is exactly correct.
Do you want to add anything to my rant? You have your own rant?
No, I don't want to have any rants, thank you.
I don't know how I squeeze everything into my days, but I do.
Well, you don't. It's 10 p.m. Not even a question. Everything's going to be electric. Like, no matter how much everybody screams, they are so much nicer to drive in every regard. They're cheaper to drive. They're more economical. They're quiet. They have better performance. You don't pay any services. Everything about these cars is better. It's just there's an industry hanging on for dear life, and they come up with marketing terms like range anxiety, and a hybrid is the best of both worlds, and it is bullshit. You have a combustion engine that needs maintenance, needs oil, needs petrol, and you have an electric train with batteries that you're lugging around that can also fail with a lot of software. Hybrids are the worst of both worlds. Don't let anyone tell you anything different.
But I couldn't convince my girlfriend to move because she was in a folk rock band, so I had to move back.
Yeah, you could have just changed girlfriends.
Yeah, well, she's now my wife, so it worked out pretty well.
You were very well behaved.
Thank you.
What the chief scientist lays out is that there's a background level of asbestos contamination in Australia in most contexts that we're all exposed to that doesn't appear to have any significant health impact. This is one of those risk communication or science communication challenges where the sort of perceived risk can be significantly higher than it is in reality.
I don't think most people study environmental disciplines for anything other than the love of the game. It's not the career to go into if you want to make massive amounts of money. It's a career of passion.
Do you see a lot of people not using upper confidence levels in their waste classification reports?
Yeah, I would say I see it a lot.
So what are they classifying it with?
Just whatever one exceedance there might be, yeah.
Oh, come on. Guys, this is not... Oh, that is bad. We're not about ruffling feathers, but we don't mind it. You need to ruffle feathers where they need to be ruffled.
We're all being ripped off in a way. The people are actually looking after things that have real interest in the environment and are attempting to do the right thing, investing heavily in doing the right thing. We are all being ripped off.
And part of that, I think, is that ethical obligation not to take your client for a ride and to suggest things that are genuinely in their best interest and not in the interest of your bottom line.
Really? Yeah. We're all for world peace, aren't we?
But
and the beauty queen devotes her reign to end world hunger. Yeah. Right, James. Good one.
For a field duplicate to provide any value, the two jars provided to the laboratory must be identical. Not similar, not anything like that, identical.
Yes. Otherwise, forget it.
A lot of people privately have supported this view that you have. It's not even a view. I mean, it's just fact, right?
Yeah, well, thank you. It's not even an opinion. This is one of the things that you can have an opinion about, but you can only have one if you want to be right.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful here because this is now Gunnar rant territory again. But
I'll try and do my job and put the handbrake on.
To be conservative, that irks me already, because whoever came up with the idea that we have to be conservative? No. You are a consultant. You are not supposed to be conservative. Your job is to be representative. You need to take representative samples of a site. Don't you give me this nonsense about being conservative. Don't. Because that is not your job.
Well, yeah, and to be scientifically rigorous.
Yes.
That's our job, not to be conservative.
Yes.
Science changes. That's what science should do. Science is an innovation machine. It is there to make things change.
The human studies don't show you definitively that PFAS causes cancer.
What we can say is that in a community, the causes of high cholesterol from lifestyle factors and socioeconomic factors are going to hugely obliterate any tiny signal from PFAS, even if one exists.
You and me, we're not arrogant people.
Well, you're not. All right, I'll let you go.
Gunnar.
See you. That was too long. I gotta cut that down.
Cut it down a little bit. Don't cut out too much of the banter. The people love it. It's the last one of the year. Let us indulge ourselves.
It's almost an hour. You gotta be kidding me. You can't have an hour banter. That's not on.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. It'll be good. All right.
Have a good one, James. I'll see you around.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.